Thank you, Numi. Good morning, everyone. On the advice of the security forces, I have recommended to the Governor General that a state of public emergency be declared in the Kingston Central and the Kingston Western police divisions. The Governor General has signed the proclamation giving effect to the state of public emergency in the areas recommended from this morning for 14 days. This will connect the states of public emergency existing in the Kingston East and St. Andrews South police divisions, creating an effective security corridor along the waterfront from Bull Bay in the east to Ferry in the west. The space now declared has seen increased criminal activity in the second quarter of this year. These areas, if left unchecked, have shown historically that they can spiral to chaotic ends, even having national disruptive impact. We are also observing that the gangs in these areas are not confining themselves to traditional geographical boundaries within community locations, operations, and affiliations. This presents the possibility of super gangs emerging through collaboration, and this creates a platform for the insemination of more nefarious and foreign criminal activity. We have also seen an increase in criminal activity in extortion, especially around the market districts and the South Coast Highway Improvement Project, which has started along the Harbourview through to Bull Bay route. At the launch of this project, I was clear that we will not allow criminals or politically connected persons to extort, hold up, or otherwise threaten the work in this area in any way. This is a national project, and the government will deal decisively with anyone who seeks to disrupt or otherwise interfere with the smooth operation of this road development project, which has been long anticipated and extremely beneficial to the people of Jamaica, particularly the people of St. Thomas. I will now ask the Commissioner of Police to give his overview of the situation leading up to the declaration of the SOEs. Commissioner.
Thank you, Prime Minister. So despite a national decrease in murders and shootings, the high level of violence, particularly in Kingston Western and Kingston Central divisions, is at a scale and nature that greatly endangers public safety. A few days ago in West Kingston, one of the gang feuds resulted in criminals setting the Rere Market ablaze, depriving residents in and around the community of their livelihoods. The criminals also attacked police officers who sought to save lives as they intervened between the rival gangs. Violent crimes, that is murder and shootings, in Kingston and St. Andrew represent 42% of the national figure. These criminal acts are characteristic of long-standing and deadly inter- and intra-gang conflicts. And these have been occurring across a number of hotspots in these divisions. Today, there are currently about 48 gangs, 50% of which are actively engaged in violent conflicts in the division. Similarly, in neighboring Kingston Central Division, there are some 32 gangs actively engaged in violence and violent conflicts. These gangs have established networks across divisions to fortify their activities, and there are a number of persons wanted for murder and other violent crimes within these divisions. This year, there has been an increase in violent crimes in these two divisions. And as was previously said, within the last quarter, we have seen a spike as gang members and gang organizations seek to benefit from extortion or through extortion within the market district and have created alliances that extend from St. Andrew South all the way across to Kingston East. 74% of all murders in these divisions are attributed to gang activities. When we examine the broader picture, almost 6 months into 2020, we see signs of success in the implementation of our policing strategies. As at June the 12th, major crimes have declined by 14% overall. Robberies are down 13%, break-ins down 23%, rape is down 29%, and larceny has declined by 32%. Notwithstanding this, we are seeing a much more coordinated attempt by criminal enterprises across Kingston and St. Andrew to coordinate their activities and create a much more unified response to how they make their illegal gains from these commercial areas. So despite the 32 illegal guns that have been taken off the streets in these divisions, the violence continues. Specifically with respect to states of public emergency, we saw early in the year an increase in Kingston East. For the first month of the year, I think up in January, a sharp spike in homicides occurred. We implemented a state of emergency, and murders are down 64% in Kingston East, and shootings have declined by 70% in Kingston East since its imposition. In St. Catherine, murders are down 14% and shootings down 24%. In St. Andrew South, the gains have been marginal, where murders are down only 1%, but shootings are down 18% in that division. St. James, which has been running for the longest period, is recording the lowest number of murders and shootings that it has seen in 20 years, and the highest number of gun seizures, with them being doubling the next highest division in terms of this seizure. We've also seen reductions in murders in Westmoreland and Hanover of 48% and 57% respectively when compared with similar periods before the declaration. And shootings are down in both parishes by 40% and 66% respectively. So I'd just like to reiterate that the use of states of public emergency has never been intended to be an alternative to other policing strategies, but in addition to them. And so we still continue to do all of the other policing activities, and in particular activities directed towards capturing and convicting gang members. The use of technology in our investigations, the increased use of surveillance that we've employed that has led to a faster response time, a more precise cases, and an overall better effect that we've been having on the gangs. However, at the moment, there are too many people being killed, and we have to intervene in this manner. We remain resolute in our focus to reduce the fear of crime as we continue to build solid relationships with citizens in the various communities that we police. So we will not allow violence and criminality to thrive. Our relationships with communities have been increasingly getting better over the past few months, and we intend to continue that process. The public generally can assist by contacting Crime Stop or the police directly with information, by complying with the requests of security officers at checkpoints, adhering to curfew guidelines and other guidelines, and certainly by notifying us, the JCF, of any breaches of professional conduct. I have to thank members of the public for the information that they've been giving us so far, and that has been significant in allowing us to resolve a number of crimes very rapidly. So thanks to all the members of the public who have been helping us. Ideally, we would have 2.8 million people helping us in some way to deal with this scourge of violence and crime. The JCF remains committed to respecting everyone, observing the rule of law, and for being that force for good. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll now invite the Chief of Defense Staff to give the definitions of the boundary.
I have to thank members of the public for the information that they've been giving us so far, and that has been significant in allowing us to resolve a number of crimes very rapidly. So thanks to all the members of the public who have been helping us. Ideally, we would have 2.8 million people helping us in some way to deal with this scourge of violence and crime. The JCF remains committed to respecting everyone, observing the rule of law, and for being that force for good. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll now invite the Chief of Defence Staff to give the definitions of the boundary.